Oh, very impressive. Very impressive. Oh, wow, fancy. I find that very fancy. Take it. Howdy, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Clickin' with Mackenzie and the Divas and McCall, Gertie, Maud. I'm Mackenzie. It's my friend Gertie, my friend McCall, my friend Maud. And we're here to just give you another quick tip on if you want to train some donkeys, some stuff. So last week, on our last episode, we went over just the basics of operant conditioning, clicker training with positive reinforcement. And today I thought we'd work on something specific that a lot of equine folks usually have a question about, which is how to get an animal to stop mugging or always looking for the food. Hopefully that chain sound will slow down. We'll see. Hopefully it's not too loud for y'all. So I want to just start off by showing you the basics of a game we call Leave It, and we want this to be a default game for our animals whenever we're working with them with food. So the principle is we're going to ignore the food to get the food. And the way that we train that is having that principle always in play, but specifically, especially when we start out, we train a specific game called Leave It. So I'm going to go over this game, and then McCall and I are going to play it with both donkeys. So it's a really simple game. The first step of the game is just having something that they want, that they're interested in, and then reinforcing them for ignoring it. So we didn't go for it, so we get a snack. I prefer to mark when they're not paying attention to it at all. So thinking about something else, it's like her head was pretty far away. I marked, and now I'm going to feed away. Take it. When you're doing this early on, if you've never done it with an animal before, you might find that they have a hard time finding the food on the ground, that sort of thing. So you just make it nice and easy for them to get it. And we're just trying to make sure that they can succeed. So leave it.
Fist bump.
I use the cue there, but only because we train this behavior a bunch. But what we really want to do in our first session is just have like 10 or so really good reinforcers and wait for the moment where our animal is paying, take it, no attention to them, and then we just mark and treat. And remember, you can use a word. Yes, take it. I like to move it around a little bit so it's not just localized to one place. Take it. Again, all I'm looking for is that she is not interested in the food. As they do well with that, you can start varying it. But for the first few sessions, you just want to do 10 or so treats on just ignoring the food. So we might use the bucket, and she's pretty interested in it. We haven't worked on it in a little while. She decided to try and go for it. I waited, and now I'm just going to mark. And I'm going to give her a few for not really trying that hard, right? And now my goal, my criteria is going to be to see if she can ignore it without even touching it. It's going to be a little tricky, but there you go. She did it for a good little bit there. After you have an animal successfully just pretty much ignoring the food for about 10 or so treats, see, that means I'm probably just making it a little bit too hard, so I'm going to make it easier by making it further away and less easy to get to. She's probably pretty hungry. I haven't trained in a while. She's pretty excited about it. So I'm going to click that. She wasn't going for my food. And I'm just going to try and make the game succeed. She's like, let's do something more exciting, Mackenzie. Yeah. Wherever she can succeed and try and get a high rate of reinforcement. Take it on that. Let's do some more. So she's got pretty good success. The food a little bit above her head. Take it. Eventually, like, you can also play some games where, like, the bucket's down low. I got her before she went looking for it, just to try and emphasize that. And you can feed out of your opposite hand. Just teaching them that going after the thing is not how they get it. She's really, her first impulse is really to go for it. Take it. And she's fighting that impulse as best she can. So I'm going to start moving this up and down just to try and get her more used to ignoring it. It's like, oh, I really want that bucket, Mackenzie. Take it. Now, I'm probably moving a little faster where she's showing me at, because in my mind, she's a little further along than this. But I got to remember, we haven't really trained in a month that much. You know, who knows? She might have gotten a lot of reinforcement for diving for food in that time. Take it. And so we just have to work with her where she is. If you're doing a good job, you should see a lot of successes. Take it. Like, that was hard for her, but she resisted the impulse to dive for it. You got more. You should take it all.
Back up.
And eventually you can take this as far as you want to, all the way to, you know, having the food on the ground where they just ignore it. Take it. How's yours going?
Good. Just a few minutes ago, Maud walked up to me with her head turned away, just so that it would be extra clear she was ignoring it.
Yeah, and they'll do stuff like that. Take it.
Leave it.
So you can teach them to ignore this to get food out of my hand.
That was so good.
And you want to set up a lot of scenarios in which, like, they're ignoring what they want to get what they want. So the food's right here. She might investigate it. That's fine. Ideally, I set her up for not doing that.
Take it.
In the next one. So I'm going to move it a little further away from her head so it's not as easy. She just totally ignored it. She gets a click treat. Okay. I have a carrot in one hand. Take it. She, I don't know if you could tell, but she saw the carrot and then moved her head away from that too. So it's just ignoring that carrot is going to be what gets it. Take it.
Whoa.
And we're not using the cue at this rate. We want to see
snack
much fuller behavior before we start introducing the cue. But so if you're just starting out with this, don't start using the cue a lot. Really focus on where making the environment easy enough that you have success. So not just putting the food right in front of them and they're failing all the time, but maybe holding it up or having it in something where they can't get to it. They know it's there, but they can not get to it. Sorry, it's really distracting, all that chainsaw going on over there.
Whoa.
Maybe it's a motorcycle, I can't tell. Take it.
Sounds like a chainsaw.
She just like smelled the food in my hand and ignored it to get it. And then as you're working on further behaviors, this behavior is also getting reinforced, right? Because there's still food here. Over. And she just did leave it, right?
Touch.
Eventually you can build up to, hopefully, let's see, just leaving it on the ground. And you know, like, you can do something like that if they go right for it. But ideally, you're reinforcing at a rate where they're having success without you having to rely on your foot or something like that. So that was not the best training from me, but like...
Maud, touch.
Very good, donkey. So she was resisting that impulse of diving right in. She didn't go nose first into this thing. She could have.
Maud.
She could have helped walking towards it, which is fine. And usually we set her up to know that that's what we want.
There you go.
By using the cue, but I'm just trying to show you how to do this without having to do that.
Good girl. Over.
Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Okay, take it. And occasionally it's nice to just give them the jackpot if they do a good job leaving
Go around.
it.
Oh, snack time. I see.
So now she's pretty excited because she gets to get in there.
Oh, still snack time.
So that's leave it. It's always in play. Eventually, like, they'll get good enough at it that you don't ever have to really even think or train it. They're always ignoring stuff. It's very helpful. If you practice it during feeding time, then they're not trying to get at you to get the food. They become much better as they gain self-control around food. In my experience, the animals who are the best with food, taking food, ignoring food, are the ones who get this sort of training. And it's usually the ones who only get food occasionally, and it's, you know, reinforcing a lot of just the diving for food that end up having the really intense time. So it's a behavior that if you're doing positive reinforcement training, you're using food you want to be working on from the very beginning. Basically, it's one of the first things I always teach any sort of animal who I'm doing this sort of work with. Ignore the food to get the food. So have fun with it. You know, if your animal's not succeeding, make the game easier and make it fun.
Leave it.
Nice.
That's a good dog.
Leave it.
Come on, dog.
See that head moving away? Take it.
Over.
Great job. Cool. All right. Well, we're going to regroup real quick and then do a little bit of training with my horse.
Schneck.
And back up. Oh, you want to circle? Oh, that's a good backup. Yeah.
You're just
Look at all this stuff in here.
happy dunk.
Look at all the goodies. Here, take it.
Over. Good girl. Snack.
Here you go. Look at all that. Look at all that you got. Take it. You see it over there? Gertie's like, no, I just want to keep training. Cool. Maybe we should put Maud back in to eat her hay.
Maud.
Come on, Maud. It's like, no, I want to keep training.
Do you want to come with both of us?
Gertz, you want to go? Let's load it up.
Maud.
Back up, please. Thank you. And right in here.
I have treats for Mom.
Maud's like, I'm
Come on.
hanging with Gertie. Let's go, Maud.
You got
Come
your
on.
own food. Maybe she's just sad because she didn't get to hang out with you.
Yeah, maybe. Gertie's like,
Hi,
come on.
Maud.
They're both like, no, we have not had our adequate 30 minutes of training time.
Come here.
Go. Back up. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Snack.
Okay, take it. Look at all that. All right, we have them on put away. Great.
Gertie. Oh, you going to hang out?
Oh, really? You come to town? Gertie is not done with this session yet. I'm going to give him a second and see if he gets interested in coming up to me because he was a little bit nervous for some reason. It might be the noise or who knows, just the unstable footing. There's What
Hi,
slush on the
Canner.
ground, and that makes it slick. And with a horse like him, it can be kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on. You want to come over here?
What?
Do you want to come over here?
Sure.
And since we're doing, we switched gears a little bit to work with my horse Canner. Figure I'll do a quick reintroduction. So I'm Mackenzie. Thanks for tuning in to Clicking with Mackenzie and Canner and McCall. Let's see, last time I was out, I did a little introduction to my horse, so you should be able to check that out still if you're interested and you missed it, where I just talked about how I met him and how we got acquainted, and we did a little bit of work on desensitization, and I just showed the process by which I got him comfortable letting people be around him and more comfortable with his world. He's still a little bit nervous sometimes. He's being a little nervous today.
Probably the chainsaw.
Yeah, he was doing it before the chainsaw. But we're going to just take it at his pace. He's pretty interested in the hay that got put out, so he's going to be a little bit less interested in training because he's got a bunch of good reinforcement right there. There's plenty of times where he wants to train more than he wants to eat hay, but that changes a lot with the weather and what's been going on. And right now he really needs the calories he's getting from hay to get through the cold winter. So training becomes less of a priority. Different times of the year, he'll ignore lots of stuff for it. The donkeys are way more enthusiastic about training, probably because they didn't start out totally fearful of everybody like he did. So my plan today had been to work a little bit on the halter and talk a little bit about the halter. So I'm just going to tell that story, and I'm going to work him where he is. So if you just saw I work with the donkeys, I had to work with Gertie. I expected her to be at one place, which she was a little bit more interested in the food than I was expecting, and that's probably just because she hasn't had a lot of training recently. So I want to just make sure and meet him where he is. So I'm just going to let him snack, and if he engages at all, I'm going to reinforce it. I'm going to ignore him until he does. And that's to start just working on rebuilding focus and attention on me and capturing those little moments where he's attentive. And we'll see if we can build that into engaging with the halter, maybe moving to a new area. We'll see. So he's pretty stoked about that food. Yeah, so anyways, last week we went over just a little bit of his history, and I thought I would talk a little bit more about that. When I first met him, he had a halter on him. The people who raised him and delivered him, he was, and delivered him very fearful, very terrified. Also left him with a halter on in a very small space. And one of the things that they said when they dropped him off is don't take that halter off, you'll never get it back on. But leaving a halter on a horse, especially one that's that fearful, there's always a chance it can snag, and then that can lead to a broken neck or lots of other injuries. So the first thing we did is try and get that halter off. And we were able to do it a couple days after he was delivered because we couldn't get close enough to him in a safe way until then. We managed to get it off, and then we took a lot of time reworking the halter. But halters have always been one of the things he's most frightened of, probably because he had very, very bad experiences with them early on. We call that poisoning. So if there's a really negative experience associated with a particular thing and the animal selects that thing out, you can talk about it as being poisoned. Things that get poisoned are a lot more difficult to get an animal comfortable with than things where they have no experience or only positive experiences. So anything can get poisoned. It's just, it can be, clothing, an object. It can be a smell. All sorts of stuff can get poisoned. And we desensitize, and ideally, if we do a good enough job of desensitization, we get them past it. Cues can get poisoned. See, it's just being a little bit spooky.
He just dropped the treat and looked spooked.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with him. Hi, buddy. That's pretty unusual for him. I haven't had him be that, not interested. I hope he's all right. Maybe had a bad night or something. Let's go see if we stand by him a little bit more if he gets interested again. And for Canada, the halter was poisoned. It had really negative associations, a lot of punishment associated with it. And so it took a long time to get him comfortable putting it on, and he's still not 100% 100%. I wouldn't let anybody who hasn't worked with him before alter him. We'll have to replay that game a bunch. Hi. With him to get him pretty comfortable with it. It's okay.
What's up?
You got kisses for me? Kisses? Let's just do the thing where we let him engage. I'll just take it, Nicole. You just not. A little concerned about how he's acting. Go, Brando. He's really shying, which concerns me a lot. Touch. And also, right now, his body posture and eyes are really wide, which is also pretty concerning. I wouldn't expect just the sound of the yes, noise to be doing that to him. I'm going to try and get a lot of reinforcement in here with him, so y'all him to focus on my foot for a second. Good, man. There we go. Schnack. So anyways, the halter was pretty scary for him because he had really bad experiences with it, associated with negative things, and he would tremble if he saw one and run away immediately. I don't think anybody's ever actually seen that behavior from him out here because he was pretty well over it. And what we did to get him over it was just teach him some games where he had a lot more say in it. But the scariest thing that I saw with him was my friend who had been working with him was working on haltering and had him haltered, and he was working on leading. He had a halter on him, and something spooked him. So he wasn't sure what it was, but he spooked, and he pulled the rope right out of my friend's hand, and then he ran away. And my friend spent like several hours that day trying to catch him and just couldn't get up to him. He would just balk and run, and then the rope was on the halter, and it would like lap alongside of him and just keep him in a total frenzy where he's just pitching around everywhere. That just sent him completely back and maybe put him to the point where he was even more afraid of the halter than he had been before. So we had that to start with, and that was actually the point at which my friend decided he wasn't going to be able to work with him anymore. So my friend ended up like trying to catch him for a few hours. That rope attached, couldn't do it. Came back to town and got me. We went back out, and he was still just in a fright. And this, you're talking like 6 hours later, running around. I thought he was definitely going to break a leg. He was running so fast. He'd run until he fell, and then get back up and sprint, then freeze, and then that rope would be there, and he'd get low and back away from the rope, and then turn around and start sprinting again. It was really scary to watch. So fortunately, I was able to get up to him, get the rope off, and then the next day get the halter back off of him, which is very lucky. I didn't work with him for a while. I gave him some time to let his system calm down, which if your horse has a big fright like that is a great idea. There's a lot of bad advice out there. You have to get right back to it with them or something like that. But if their adrenaline's up, just like us, it takes several days to get that worked out of their system again. And you're more likely to drive in a negative experience if you jump right back into it. It's a much better idea to give it some space, give it about a week for their body to work out all the stress chemicals that they just encountered, and then start back over from the beginning and work your way back through whatever you did before to get them comfortable. And I've had to do that with him a lot, more than any other animal I've ever worked with. I know, you're a willing victim. You'd love to do some training, huh? Wouldn't you? How are you doing? You're not feeling very scared. You better go snack.
Where's your hay pile?
He's like, I want to do some target training, thank you. So we did a lot of work after that. I did a lot of work on training my horse to be comfortable with the halter. And now he's pretty good, although today I'm a little spurulous of trying to work with him on it because he is showing signs of being so nervous. Why don't you eat some hay? And then I can talk to everybody on the cameras. Maybe he's just so hungry you can't think through it.
It could be. It was just in the 50s and now is dropping rapidly.
Yeah, which can have a lot to create a lot of issues on our thing. But this is what I got it. Hoping to see more from him is just re-engaging. So instead of working on halter, I think we're just going to work on some general engagement. Let's see if we can get one target on this thing. You want to touch that? Good man. Okay, go snack. And we're going to give him a break again. Move away a little bit and see if he's interested in training some more. Early on, this would be a great training session with him if I got that much engagement. So you're kind of seeing, I'm just backing all the way up to that because he's showing me that he's kind of nervous a couple times today. And more nervous than I've seen him in a while for whatever reason. So I got to meet him where he is. If I try to push with my agenda of working on the halter, I could really create problems and potentially even poison the halter, which is the opposite of what I want, because right now he's pretty reliable with the halter. Boy, I'm just trying to think. Well, we can do like really what are some of our very first halter games. So having it around, and especially if your animal has already had a negative association with a halter or something, but in a way where it's not threatening, not focusing on your end goal immediately, but just focusing on habituating them to the object. So just having the halter here with me today is great halter work, so long as I don't scare my horse with it. And that way, there's a lot of incidental habituation happening because it's in my hand, somewhere where you can see it. This is a horse where I had to practice taking my hand out of my pocket just to get him comfortable. So you can imagine, like, after that, it took a long time, several months, to just get him used to me carrying things as I approached. And it was even much further along from there before he could be touched with things without going into a total panic. So just going to get a little closer and see if he gets interested again. With an animal who has been poisoned, you can, like, a great session can just simply be any sort of interest in the object, mark and reinforce, or just having the object in your hand, mark and reinforce. The other thing we're competing with here today, too, is just all the hay and other reinforcers. Yeah, he's pretty interested in that stuff.
It's not quite as chunky as I normally expect him to be in this time of year.
Yeah. Well, it's just a weird year. The weather has been so off. And he's also not, he's usually over at the other property, so he might be just moving around more. Just getting a couple photos. All right, let's see if he gets any interest at all. Hi, you in touch? That's great. So, that was awesome. Thank you. Do you mind taking this target stick?
Sure.
Do you mind taking a couple photos too?
Sure.
I'm gonna just see if he will play the beginning halter game with me. So, just touching it with his nose is all I'm looking for right now. That's step one for me with this game. Actually, it's like step two because step one is really just having it around a bunch. There you go. Once they're pretty comfortable with it, getting them to engage, great way to move up. And then I like to do where I hold it close, step back, and then I'm looking for any sort of engagement, but ideally getting his nose in. This is a little bit hard for y'all to see, I know, because of our positioning here, but looking for his nose in. Very good. That's awesome. I wasn't totally sure he'd want to do this today. He's going to go back and snack. A good session, I would have sent him back before he did, but he's pretty low engagement right now. He wants to say hi to McCall. Because you're my friend, right?
For you.
Do you want to play this game? Here you go. Very good. So, we'll just see if we can get one or two more of these and then call it a day. Just putting his nose in, dropping his head down. So he's moving the game up on his own. Good job. You want to give him a couple treats too?
Yeah.
And that was a nice heavy sigh. He's relaxing a little bit more.
Do you like one of these?
Not as into those right now for some reason.
You want a carrot to make up for it?
We'll do one last one. Relax. And that head drop. I like that too. So those are the introductory steps. I'm not going to go for any more than that, as nervous as he's being today. Let's give him a break. Okay, go snack. And that to me is also a good session because we gave him the opportunity to call it quits before. He called it quits on his own. It's like, I'm coming over here to get some hay. Are ya? You gonna snack? That's a good spot for it.
It's about time, I think.
Yeah. I want to just do one last little toothbrushing session with him if he's interested. You want to do toothbrush or halter? Halter? Okay. So, introducing choice is a great way. You can put your nose in there to get them more engaged. Oh, that was really good nose in. I don't know if y'all could see that. That was awesome. Good job.
You can put some pictures on the blog. I've got some good ones.
Oh, more halter. All right. I'm surprised. He's just loving toothbrush lately so much. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're chewing on that thing. Good job. I wouldn't worry too much about mouthing it or anything like that. You can work on it later, but also can get them more comfortable with stuff in their mouths. All right. Toothbrush or halter? Still picking halter. I'm so impressed with you. You put your nose in there and relax. So I'm looking for like a blink or something from him now. Which maybe is too much to hope for, but it actually wasn't. I got one. He heard me.
It must have been a wink because he did not blink on this side.
Well, I saw him blink on the other side. It was quick though. You want to take a break? Or pick your game. Halter? All right. Relax. Thank you. Oh, what a good horse. Good. You want to try one more? Halter. All right. See if we can do it beside. It's like, I want my butt itched. You want to put on your halter? It's not feeling that one.
Instead, I want my butt it.
So I did really good halter. Now it's time for some butt rubs.
That's also a good relaxing sign.
Totally. You put your nose in. Relax. You forgot the relax part. I know, it's weird having somebody walking behind you and relaxing at the same time. Good horse. Maybe we just needed to get enough hay in us to actually calm it back down. All right. Well, I think that was a pretty good session for my guy. Appreciate you all tuning in for this episode. Clicking with Canner. Here you go. Take it all. Here. Touch. Check. And we'll be back next Sunday. You can also watch a rebroadcast tomorrow. I don't quite have the time memorized yet. If I recall, it's at noon or 1 p.m., but check it out. If you have any questions, be sure to visit the Friends of Dunrovin website and leave them in the blog thing. I don't know what to call it. Feed. Social feed there. And I'll try and check and catch them. I took a look today and I didn't see anything. So if I missed you did leave a question, I missed it, I apologize. And we'll be back for another episode next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Big thank you to James for running cams. Thanks to all the staff for keeping everybody going. Everybody at Days of Dunrovin for tuning in. Big thank you to Celia for helping get the word out. Suzanne for making it all go. Cole for coming out. Canner for, surviving. The Divas for being so enthusiastic. Do we need to thank anybody else?
Probably.
Probably. I probably forgot a few folks. I'm going to be hanging out here with my horse for a little bit, but I think that's the end for us. Thanks, everybody. Bye.